Playing for it, kind of described it as feeling like you're on a hamster wheel. You keep spinning and spinning and spinning and keeping the offense going, but it doesn't feel like you're getting anywhere. Did it feel like that as the game was going on?
I felt like, when you're out there on offense, you try your best, regardless of what's going on, special teams and defense-wise, just to focus on your job and what you can do, what you can control. I felt like we left our defense out to dry a little bit in that first half. Too many 2-and-outs consecutively after a great first drive, and they ended up spending a lot of time on the field that whole first half, and I'm sure that wore on them. As the second half progressed, and their fatigue and everything like that. So you have to make sure we're doing our job, even when we're not scoring, because every drive isn't going to be a touchdown drive. But you want to at least get a first down or two, flip field position, give your defense a chance to look at film, correct mistakes on the sideline. If you're 2-and-out in 30 seconds, the defense can't really make many adjustments and can't get much of a rest. So you can't put them in that position that first half. And I think in the second half, I'm just proud of the way offense fought. Proud of what the guys did, the focus that they had, the energy that they had throughout the drives to keep rolling. And we knew, I think when we scored one of our last touchdowns and we went down 2 scores with like 6 minutes left, everybody was still feeling really good on the sideline. Unfortunately, just didn't check away.
Just you overall, your progression, just as the weeks have gone on and on. Obviously, like they were saying, it's like the hamster wheel. But how do you feel about going into the bye week knowing, hey, our offense just kept progressing as the season's gone along and along?
It feels good to have the positive plays and the positive drives that we've had. I think there's a lot of things to build on in that, but at the same time, you want to play a full 60, and that's what we haven't really put together quite yet through the first 5 games. We played really good at times, and sometimes with some extended times, but our bad drives have to be better. The bad drives still have to be, like I said, you still have to gain 20, 30 yards and flip field position and, do your job in that regard. So, we'll keep looking at ways, and especially myself, with my decisions and things like that, to protect the ball better and to make sure that we're staying on the ball for the game.
I just want to talk about Kevin Mattal. Obviously, he's a guy who put a lot of work in the offseason, just getting faster, leaner. Even last year, he was hurt a lot with the Grey Cup. I know you guys had the one connection there. What have you seen from him that's been so impressive throughout these first few games?
His energy and his just commitment to the culture that we're trying to set. I think that one of the biggest plays probably nobody saw was on our last touchdown drive. We were down there, I think, with a second down and 10 or so, maybe on the 25-yard line, and I threw a swing route out to the running back. And Kevin ran a little snag route over the tackle that side. And as soon as he saw me through it, he bursted faster than he really ever runs and got out in front of the swing route as he had the ball, got an extra block for him on a DB that was coming down, and really sprung him for at least an extra 5-10 yards and got us the first down. And so to do that when we're down 3 scores with 1:20 left in the game, you've already ran a ton of routes and you're tired, but to still have that just football mind and the energy and just his attitude. And that's just kind of one play that epitomizes just what he's brought and what he continues to bring and he's developed.
There's 10 other guys on the offense, but he clearly also had an effect in that opening drive too. What are you and Ryan going to be looking at over the course of the week to see what more opportunities you can get him into the game and get him a part of those positive series that you want to build?
I'm sure we'll, whenever you have a bye week, you get some extra practices. So you get a chance to, be creative and try to, see what guys can do and get young guys some more reps as well. Kevin has a really unique skill set, with his size and his speed, his catching ability. He ran the ball a couple times last year as well, and you can see the things he does on screens. It's an endless amount of opportunities, but you can get a lot of those things called and ran the more you're on the field. And if you get 60 play calls a game instead of 45, now you can start getting into your bag a little bit more. But you got to start off by getting first down, so you can start reaching into the playbook and being more creative with some of this stuff.
Nick, obviously a lot of frustration maybe after a loss like this, but now with the bye week, how do you guys as leaders, all the leaders in the room, ensure that this doesn't linger and you guys go into this bye with a positive mindset in some way?
I think one of the biggest things is trying to stay around as much as you can. and making sure that you're recovering your body, you're recovering your mind a little bit as well, because it's a very long season. But at the same time, you can't just turn it off completely and come back and think that you're going to be able to turn it right back on. And the season's far from over, but at 1-4, the hole that we dug ourselves in is going to require a lot of urgency the entire season to climb back out of. It takes more than just 1 win or 2 wins to get out ahead of ourselves again. We can't be complacent with just being urgent 1 week coming off the bye and getting a win. We have to, for the rest of this season, for the next how many weeks, 15 weeks or so, need to, treat it like a playoff game. You can't just keep taking losses, and keep saying that we'll turn it around next week. So making sure that when we come back, whether it's an extra practice or whatever it is, the urgency is at an all-time high, and we keep pushing ourselves and we build camaraderie through that.
At times like this, it's really hard to be disciplined. How do you work on that to get more discipline?
I think discipline takes I think a lot of it falls in the trust of your teammates. I feel like the more you really trust your teammates to do their job, the guys around you to do their job, the more you can have discipline between the whistles. And if you have discipline between the whistles, it's much easier to have discipline after the whistles because things are going well, and tempers aren't flaring and things like that. But if you don't trust your guy next to you to make the block they're supposed to run the route or fill the gap they're supposed to, you start trying to do their job as well as your job, and then you're doing neither job the way you're supposed to, and then plays are being made against you. So that discipline takes a lot of trust, and that takes camaraderie, and the trust is built in the locker room and off the field just as much as it's built on the field.
The other kind of discipline that I was hoping to talk about is when it comes to being more ready next time, being able to work and the discipline it takes to be more prepared next time and correct the mistakes that you've made previously.
I think we've showed good progress. At least on the offensive side of the ball. I'm on the defense side of the ball to see their film. I know they've had some really good games, really good moments, but I feel like our offensive line has made a really good improvement from week to week. I didn't get hit very much today, and they were facing a defense line that was pinning their ears back for pretty much the entire second half, knowing that we had to pass the ball. And so they did a great job working together as a unit, picking up twists and stunts and stuff that were beating them earlier in the year. Myself, I just need to continue to get better, making sure I'm not, having those 1 or 2 plays that put the ball, in harm's way. And I think the receivers are doing a great job. They've made countless plays, one-on-one opportunities and running the great routes and running hots when there's blitzes. Of course, there's things they can get better at, but it's been a steady improvement from top to bottom.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you. Thank you.